Hi, happy Friday. Okay, here's what I want to talk about right now. This is like really something that I am noticing a lot. And that is, I'm going to post this article with this video as well, talking about the fake positivity. There is, and I've been talking about following your intuition, and there's in my book club that we do, we read a lot about how to follow your intuition, but it's not talking about denying how you feel. So we are coming into this age right now of emotional intelligence. And what we're coming out of right now is a long time of living in generations where feelings were denied, feelings were told that they were bad unless they're happy, people being unable to express their emotions, move through them appropriately. And so we're kind of like defrosting. And if, as we do that, we don't know how to acknowledge our own feelings, move through them, and be who we really are, it becomes very problematic. We can't hear our intuition if we do that. The idea is to close this gap between the person that we put out there into the world and the person that we really are in here. And that's what we're hearing. Those are the messages that we're getting on our direction of what we're supposed to do. This takes cleaning up, clean up the shit, clean up, unpack. Some of this, unfortunately, we have to clean up from the generations before us because they didn't learn how to do it. And so just being positive does not mean that you're not underlying feelings of sadness or anger happening. So here's the reason I am so in tune with this right now is because we just had two very important people in my family die. In 6 months, I lost my stepmom, who I was very close to in February, and then my aunt, who was more like a mom sister to me growing up, unexpectedly in July. There are many days that I am not happy. There are many days that I am working through sadness, that I'm actually working through some anger, because that's a part of the grief process, and sometimes just having grief. Now, if I deny that, it's going to come out sideways. That's what we grew up in. Those are the generations before us that denied it, went to work, did all these things. I have a good piece of my life where this really actually changed. I have a concrete change in doing this. And my goal is to do as much as I can to clean up what has been left to me, so I can be the person in here that I show to you. When my dad died, this is 11 years ago, right after he died, I came back from his memorial, and it was a tragic death. He was an alcoholic and died very young. He was only 59 years old. And I got offered a full-time job to go back to school and teach middle school. And I had a moment where I had I'd been working a lot on cleaning up the past and listening to my intuition. And part of me was like, oh, this is that secure job. That's great. I'll have benefits. Our son was 2.5. Then this intuitive voice in my heart said, if you do that, you will be denying yourself the time right now that you need to be able to grieve that your dad just died. And I literally called them back and told the principal, I'm not taking the job. I don't want it. And I didn't take it. And it was the best decision that I made. I did not, because I know what it means to I was a school teacher. I know that for the next 9 months, I would not be able to feel the feelings that I was having from my dad dying. I would not have been able to show up as a real teacher. I would have not been able to show up in my life as a real mother. And so I took that time off, and it was really magical. I wrote a bunch of songs. I did yoga every day. I did a lot of self-care. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of crying. There were days, I remember standing in line and to get into yoga. I mean, he had just died that week. And I went to yoga. It was probably the only place I could get myself to, because that's the difference. We can turn our feelings off and just go out robotically and be in our world and go to our jobs and do all that stuff. I know how to do that. I was trained to do that. I have been able to do that my whole life. That's a lot of the unpacking that I'm having to do, is to how to be authentic. And I remember standing in line, and this mom was standing behind me. Our kids were in preschool together. And she was kind of bubbly. Hi, how are you? No, what's going on? How's it going? And I just looked at her and I said, not great. My dad just died. I'm just coming to yoga. And it was like the whole line didn't know what to do with that realness. We all are going to face death. None of us are getting out of here alive. We're all going to lose our families. We're going to lose, maybe we'll pass away before our families, but you know, we all walk through this world like with feelings that we just hold in. I know a lot of people do. It's why we have some of the violence that we have in our world today, is because we don't know how to work through some of our emotions. I know for me, anything that was like not, you know, emotions were like scary to my family. So no one really wanted to no one knew how to talk about their emotions. I said in my last video, I think everybody should have a therapist. I think it's the same as having a dentist or a doctor. That's a new thought for a lot of people. Only think of going to a therapist if you're having problems, and that's not necessarily true. So I just really want to talk about, like, you know, being real, closing the gap, cleaning up your shit, unpacking the stuff from the past that you might be carrying. I guarantee you are. If you haven't looked at it, I suggest looking at it, looking into your history. It's a mission of mine. It's something that I know has to get done for me to hear my intuition, so I am clear. So thanks for watching. That's my Friday intuition. I'll be back next week. And when you have underlying emotions you have to work through.